with your girl DrkNlvely. Now let's see how many takes it takes me to tell this story time without going off on a tangent. So, as you see it by the description of this video, is that my locks were cut by my loctician. So I had to let it go. This video is not a bashing video on the salon that did establish my sister locks. This is more of my experience and what happened and why I decided to leave the salon. I will not be mentioning my loctician's name in this video or the salon that I was at. If you've been following me since my lock journey, you know what that information is, so I will not need to state it in this video. So let me tell you what happened. Okay, so when I went to my appointment, this was my first official retie since I've started my since I established my sister locks. Okay, so I show up. I had a couple of locks in the back, in the nape, in the kitchen that I knew that were slipping. Like I could feel them. It was a lot of hair and then like a little nugget of interlock, you know. So as we're sitting there, we're talking. Now mind you, let me just tell you, disclaimer, there were a couple of events, well two events. One was a major one and it's been on my mind since my sister locks have been established, but I've learned to just deal with it. And the second one I noticed, and yeah, I noticed, but I was like, no, maybe I'm tripping, but no, I know my hair. So okay, so this is my first retie, but I have these thoughts in the back of my head. So first official retie, I sit down, we're talking, ha 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 ha, kiki and all that, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I have a couple that slipped in the back. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's only two because I have hand and hair syndrome, so I feel my hair all the time. So I'm pretty sure it's only two, but I can't see, so I'm just going with what I feel, right? So I tell her, I'm like, oh, you know, there's a couple in the back that slipped. She like raises my hair up, begins to examine it, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to start charging you to reestablish these locks. And in my head I'm like, what do you mean you're gonna have to start charging me? I'm sorry, but that's only two locks. Like, how hard is it? And this is now, please forgive me, but this is me as a consumer on the outside looking in. I don't know. I did not go to sister lock training to do sister lock, so I don't know how hard it is to reestablish locks. I could see if it was my whole nape. Now, I've watched multiple YouTubers that have been locked for almost a year and a couple a change, and that they're getting whole napes reestablished when they go to their retie. And I'm asking you to reestablish a couple, you know? So she begins to tell me, you know, oh, and I hate to start charging people. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you know, okay, I'm just like, you know, whatever. She's like, are you using your headband, whatever, because you're getting soap in it? And I'm like, well, I don't have my headband because originally I did not receive it because you guys were all out of it when I came to have my locks established on my install day, so I didn't get the headband. So she's like, oh, well, you'll get it today. I was like, okay, cool. I'm letting it, like, whatever, right? So she proceeds to go and band my hair, and she lays me down in a bowl, and we do the apple cider vinegar rinse and all that, right? So I'm laying there, everything's going good. I get up, haha, kiki, and we talking, all that, right? Everything's good. So I get up, she sits me back in her chair, and mind you, to reestablish those two locks, nothing went like that. And I'm talking like B to B length, like probably like 3 to 4 inches worth of hair. But anyway, so those were reestablished like that. So I go down, I sit down, and we're sitting there haha kikiing, talking, and she's, you know, doing her thing. doing her thing, right? So we're sitting there, so she gets towards the front, and mind you, when she's reestablishing the locks in the back, I'm gonna back up. Mind you, I hear like ripping of hair, like a snatch. But I'm like, nah, that couldn't have been nothing major, you know. I'm like, this is my loctician. This is what she does. So I know whatever she's doing is for the best, right? But mind you, I got that in the back of my head. I'm like, I did hear snatching of hair. You know, like when someone grabs your hair and yanks it, you know that sound. And I was like, I didn't jerk. I'm being extra now. But I was like, okay. You know, anyway, sitting down, she's doing her thing, taking no time, right? So I'm almost out the door. She comes around to me and she proceeds to tell me, she's like, oh, she's like, what are you doing? You're snagging your locks. This is the second one I done found. And she proceeds to show me, insert hair. Now, she proceeds to show me this lock, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no, I'm not really snagging. Chime in, not even 5 to 10 seconds. Her sister chimes in like, oh yeah, you gotta be careful, whoop-de-whoop this and whoop-de-whoop that. You know, so I'm like, I really, now I have footage on here on my minimal get ready with me video that my ring snags in one of my locks. But nothing that does this type of damage, right? So in my head, I'm like, okay, you know, I gotta be careful. Mind you, this is my first time getting sister locks. I'm all new to this. So, you know, I'm learning. So I'm like, I gotta be more careful. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I'm like, this is the second one you done found. Well, bitch, why didn't you show me the first one? You know what I'm saying? This is the second one you done found. Initially, the first one you tell me, you know, since I'm a beginner, I'm in the beginning stage, I don't know nothing, right? So I have places to go and people to see. So I'm like, okay, well, bam, bam, we talking. But in the back of my head, this is all simmering and marinating, right? So I leave and and I proceed to look at this lock. And as you can see by close examination, that is a clean cut. Now, mind you, she's cutting the rubber bands out of my hair from the braiding and banding. So my sister, if you accidentally cut my hair, just say so. I would have felt better about you saying that in your bad as opposed to you trying to blame it on me. Multiple cuts. Now I have, I think, a total of 3 locks, insert footage, 3 locks that are cut. They're no longer full locks. Now my problem is that why didn't you tell me in the beginning when you found the first one? Because then when you found the second one, I would have been like, okay, you know, but all these are clean cuts, not snags and rigid, nothing. These are clean cuts made by scissors. So I marinated. I talked to my friend that I seen later day. I showed her, you know, she's a natural, but she doesn't really understand. And I'm just mad. And I'm like, I no longer want to go here. I would have been completely okay if you would have just said, my bad, I'll be more careful next time, but I cut your locks. As opposed to you blaming me, saying that I'm snagging and I need to be more careful. Are you serious? Now, that was the third straw that broke the camel's back. I was just like, you know what? I'm so good. I will no longer be coming back to this salon because I do not feel like you are taking care of my locks to the best, to the fullest of your capabilities, or your, you know, your locticianhood, or whatever you want to call it. Now, another thing is that I feel like she ripped one of my locks out on the side. Now, you know, if you have sister locks, you know the baby hairs on the side, they're smaller, they're much more weaker. they're fragile, and I feel like she ripped out one of my locks because I have a bald spot. My locks, my edges on the side, they were a little weak, but they were never balding. You could tell, but it was never like, ooh, is that a bald spot? Never did I ever have to say, ooh, is that a bald spot? Like, it was just thin, but never did I have to question, like, do I need to really start massaging black castor oil in my hair? No. I come back, this was my second week. I can't remember the date. I'll insert it once I go and do some research. But it was tightened because she did it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It was my first wash. It was my 2-week update is where my lock went missing. And I thought about it and I was like, no. But you're just not telling me this information. So what else are you lying about and blaming on me, or what else are you doing and not telling me? Because if you would have cut that lock and you wouldn't have cut the other one, would you not have told me about the first lock that you cut? Because then once you cut the second one, then you told me about the first one. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I don't like that. So I'm missing a lock on this side, and I will insert footage. Y'all seen it. When I did my 1 month update, it was really what's the word I'm looking for? Predominant? I don't think that's the word, but you could really see that it was missing. It was bald. It didn't look right. And another thing that's been settling in my head since my establishment, and it was probably like 3 or 4 days into my first week, is that I noticed that my back locks are much more larger than the rest of my hair. Honestly, their size now is how I wanted them to be when they're swole, but this is the size they are now. And I've grown to learn and love, I've grown to love these locks are in my hair. They're what make my locks unique. I have so many people saying, I love your hair, I love your hair, I want locks like yours, I want locks like yours. I've grown to love these, I feel like, misinstalled locks, because I feel like they're not the money sister locks that I paid for. They're not the size that I wanted. Did I initially want them as tiny as I do see people's? No, initially, because I see how fragile the thin ones are. But at the same time, I'm like, they're a little bit large. And I feel like the amount of money that I paid for it, they could have been a little bit smaller. But I was okay with 2 people working in my head, because after talking to them, I felt comfortable. But my loctician was the one who did the back, and her sister was one who did my front, which I am okay with. I noticed a couple of other things that she combined some locks, so I don't know if I'm tripping, if my scalp is moving, but I feel like my grid is now off. I'm not really sure. I will insert footage and show y'all, but yeah, so I had to fire my loctician. I have not found a new salon yet to attend to do my reties yet. I'm only 3 weeks post my last retie, so I'm still within the means of a 4 to 6 week kind of, you know, time span that a lot of locticians do go by. I'm gonna have a couple of them on standby, or that I know of off the top of my head that I can possibly go to, but I don't know their schedule. So it's kind of discerning. Like, I'm upset that it did not work out with my loctician, because it's like, I did my research. I seen a person that was 2 years locked, taking care of her sister locks, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. Okay, her locks look good. What the hell? I hope you guys enjoyed this story time video. Hopefully it's not too long. I can't see the amount of time that I am at right now, but stay tuned. More videos coming up, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to follow me on my social media, and yeah, that is it. Bye. Now, am I tripping? Please let me know, like, are these snags? Do you think that they're snags, or do they look like cuts, like snips. You know when you're cutting, believe me, I know when you guys have cut weaves out of your hair, you have cut crochet braids out of your hair back in the day when you were a loose natural, and if you try protective styles at any point, that little small tip of them scissors